Hi guys, so this is episode 2 of the Entrepreneur Pop-Up Chat. Our first episode was with Kirk Anthony Hamilton. Now we're joined by Kyle Maloney. So some backstory with Kyle. I met Kyle a couple of years ago in Trinidad at the Hyatt. There was a conference happening and I found Kyle to be this very standoffish, better than everybody else kind of persona. I mean, I kind of still think he's that way, but he hides it very well. At the time, Kyle was running a company called First, and I was familiar with First through their expansion to Jamaica. First, in terms of how I saw First was this big company doing a lot of stuff, and they were a competitor to Foursquare. At least that's how I saw them at the time. Kyle had raised a significant amount of money. I didn't know about this until after the fact. So I guess that's why Kyle was acting the way he was when I saw him at Hyatt. So I didn't know him. I don't know if he heard about me, but I had heard of him through Kirk Anthony Hamilton, or mutual friend. Anyway, First didn't work out. The topic of today's talk is actually recovering from failure, which Kyle has done in a very extraordinary way. Kyle and I are now good friends, and I just want to start with the history of First. But before we get there, Kyle, tell me a little bit about yourself. So, where are you from, your background in business, and how First kind of started, and then we'll take it from there.
Cool. So, as I said, my name is Kyle Maloney. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I grew up here, went to school in secondary school called St. Mary's College, which is pretty popular here. Kind of equivalent to some of the popular Jamaican male schools that are really good.
That's an army school.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Was one of those popular Jamaican schools like Wilma's?
Like JC.
JC or...
Yeah. Wilma's is all, so you have Wilma's girls and you have Wilma's boys.
Alright, cool, like one of those, right?
Yeah.
So from there I went to study aerospace engineering in university together with my brother. And in school I started my own company, website, that allows students to buy and sell items from each other. And we made a few grand a month, from that, like about $3,000 a month from that website that we created. And that was during the time where Facebook and Twitter had just launched. And so in my mind, I really set along this entrepreneurship course in that way, and my ship began turning direction entirely. So much so that right after school, I came back to Trinidad and started First. Within 2 years of conceptualizing First, we were able to raise this significant amount of money from Digicel.
How much did you raise?
It was 1.75 million for 25% of the company.
1.75 million US dollars, by the way.
Yeah.
So clearly you raised a lot of money, Kyle. Why did First fail?
Yeah, so we began running. We were doing pretty well. We generated just over 300,000 downloads across the region, predominantly in Trinidad, and just under 900,000 US dollars in sales within our first 10 months of operations.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess people have different perspectives on it. My own perspective on it is that we raised money from one initial investor with the intention of raising again another round and running as quickly as possible out of the blocks to increase the value of the company, such that when we raise it the other round, we raise it at a higher valuation and demonstrate that the model can work. And by and large, it's something that we did, but we didn't focus on making sure that the business was sustainable from the perspective that we were cash flow positive. We were growing quickly, generating lots of revenue, but at a significant cost, which placed our burn rate at something that was quick, very high. So after our first year, we just had about 6 more months of runway based on the speed at which we were running at. And our lead investor in Digicel, the guy got cancer, and when he got cancer, there wasn't anyone in Digicel anymore to drive our agenda and to help us lead the way of raising another round of funding, which is what the basis upon us running so quickly was on. And once he was gone, we were kind of like a fish out of water, we couldn't, there wasn't an enabling environment and an ecosystem that if we didn't get money from this investor, there were other investors pandering to, that's a word? That's a correct word?
Yeah.
Eager to really invest in us and see this growth potential that we had. So I think that lack of enabling environment really made it difficult for us to continue beyond where we initial success that we had.
So again, the topic is it's recovering from failure. my view on failure is that I don't believe in failure actually.
Okay.
It's kind of like a video game to me. It's like leveling up. You know, you're battling a boss monster in a video game and you keep on losing until you eventually figure out how to beat the boss.
Oh yeah, that's like you against me in FIFA just now. I keep losing.
Well, eventually I'll beat you in FIFA. But yes, I mean,
optimistic.
at the end of the day, it wasn't losing against you. It was I'm getting experience in playing FIFA on the PlayStation 4, and eventually I would beat you. Or at least that's the goal or the aim.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in failure. I believe in experience. And for me, you are where you are today, and you've gotten the kind of wins and experiences that you've gotten, and that has allowed you to blow up beyond First, as far as I'm concerned. You have Tech Beach, you have Chef Made, and you brought all the experience from First, and you've put it into the ventures that you're involved in right now. But tell me something. How did you feel after you failed, and what were your 3 greatest takeaways from First that enabled you to excel in the businesses that you're excelling in right now?
The biggest emotion I had, contrary to what people may think, is that I was exhausted. More so than feeling depressed or stressed or anything, it was just a level of exhaustion, whereby it was right after university. I came home and began running with this thing, and just full on finishing school in 2010 and figuring out what I wanted to do. Started another company called Novus in that period of time, and then from Novus, using cash from that, and started First, and then running with First. So when all things ended up, when we let the final employee go in 2015 of August, that was, from my perspective, 5 solid years of entrepreneurship life and sacrifice, and not, silly from our perspective now, not even paying ourselves very clear-cut salaries, even almost being mercenary to our own businesses, giving every single thing that we could give to it, and then some, with the belief that at some later point down the road, it'll have this grand payoff for us. So after, at that final juncture, it was a period of a feeling of just exhaustion for me. Even before that final day, while we had a final group of employees there, for me it was just like I was just really tired. I just didn't even want to deal with anybody anymore, deal with the stresses of it, deal with figuring out how to pivot and move.
Were you depressed?
I don't know. I'm like, I am a strangely optimistic person, right? Like, I guess that is what is needed for entrepreneurship, right? As an entrepreneur, you need to have this really like positive view of the world that you think you can overcome, even though it seems like it's not possible.
Yeah.
And that is me. So for me, I saw it as a natural juncture that is bound to come in the road of becoming the success that I intend to become. So me personally, I did not become depressed. I was more so, from my perspective, exhausted. Maybe a psychologist could assess it differently.
Were you embarrassed about what other people would think about First not working out?
To some degree, but to another level as well, as the fact I'm able, I talk about it openly, and people are surprised at how
could you
openly.
start talking about it immediately after it happened, or it took you a while to start talking about it?
Well, it took a while to assess what actually happened. What really happened, and to be able to put into words properly, like what really was the cause of what actually happened, and then figure out what happens thereafter. Like where do you go thereafter? Yeah. I think the big problem is would have been if in that period whereby you don't know what comes next, where things are clearly not working out and people are asking, okay, so what now? Yeah. When you don't have the words to answer that, I think that is the period of time whereby there may be that feeling of embarrassment or discomfort and that sort of thing. Yeah. But from the time I began figuring out what's next, first, my perspective on it, I guess my level of dissonance or way of coping to progress and move forward was raise money for my first company. It didn't work out, and the next place that I spent a lot of time was Silicon Valley. Yeah. Right? And in Silicon Valley, your failures you wear as a badge of honor. Oh, my first company, we raised X amount and it didn't work out, and I'm on to this now.
Yeah.
And
that's not the culture in the Caribbean.
Exactly.
I mean, people tend to try to shame you if things don't work out. What I find interesting is that, for me, there's this attitude around entrepreneurs thinking that they need to raise money or else they can't run their venture. But you have entrepreneurs who will raise a lot of money, and for various reasons things don't work out. You're an entrepreneur, you raise a lot of money, things did not work out, and I think it should serve as an example to entrepreneurs that look, sometimes it's beyond money, sometimes you need to sharpen your leadership skills, sometimes you need to work on networking. I mean, there's so many things to work on before actually getting money, but a lot of people, because they are struggling in their own day-to-day life, they think that they need this huge cash injection to make their business work, and that's not always the case. But I'm going back to my point that I asked you earlier. Your 3 major takeaways from first, in terms of it not working out, and what are those things that have enabled you to do well in the business that you're doing, or the businesses that you're involved in now.
Okay. One of the biggest takeaways that we took immediately into like my next company I started, Chef Made, was an efficient approach to building and designing products. We spent a lot of money in building first and designing first, long before we even released our first product. Chef Made is something that we spent maybe a few months and in designing and building the site, and we spent a couple more months trying to find the right kitchen partner. But in terms of having the product ready to move, it was really, really quick, and the cost to build that was a lot cheaper, and our cost to get to the point where we're at now has been significantly cheaper than what it cost us to build first. We've come to some significant milestones with Chef Made. Like, we've generated over $140,000 in revenue in our first year, just over our first year. So it's something that we're proud of. We've delivered over 30,000 meals across the country, and we're working on our first round of investment that is of the same size or a little bit bigger than what we did at first. So I think that was one of my biggest takeaways. Do things a lot more efficiently, get to market a lot quicker. And the next thing is focus on building something that is cash flow positive from the onset. So relative to when we started at first, the way that we design Chef Made is that the business, just the product, it's like a restaurant, you know, like a regular shop. We're just taking a shop model that somebody has, like a regular like restaurant. You go in there, like they have hundreds of them, thousands of them across the country, across the region, and each one of them is profitable in their own way. You take that and you figure out how you can now put technology on that and scale that business beyond what it is that is servicing that little catchment area.
Got you. And your second takeaway?
That was the second one.
And your third?
The third takeaway, I think, is one that how do I put into it? A certain level of what they call productive paranoia that led me to be a lot more humble in my approach and outlook on life. And I gave a talk on it a few years ago, and even at that point in time when I gave the talk, it didn't strike me as much as it has struck me now, whereby in the sense that I really eat the food that I've been dishing out and talking and giving to people. I take my own serving of thinking, all right, we're doing something well, but something else must not be going right. You know, becoming very cautious in decisions that we make going forward, and becoming more thoughtful. I would say risk averse, but risk averse isn't necessarily the right word. I think thoughtful is the better word, and becoming more self-aware of the decisions that we make. And that goes for a lot of things. It goes for how we interact with the people that we bring on our teams. It goes for the investments that we make. It goes for so many different things, and how we speak about the company, how we speak about our wins, how we speak about our failures. It's a more thoughtful, a more like a more self-aware, more humble approach to things, and that definitely is one of the bigger factors that would have taken away. And that gives you the third one that you asked for.
Got you. So now you're super successful. Certainly. All right. Within context, you're certainly more successful now than you were with first. But in my opinion, Kyle, I'd say that you were far more popular when you were doing first, right? As in you were more well known, or at least this is my opinion. How I see you now is that I see you as doing much better, but you're not as popular as you were with first, which I think is also an interesting thing in entrepreneurship. You have a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are popular, but they're not making any money. And you have entrepreneurs out there who are silent, right? And you're making a lot of money. So for me, I think you're involved in 3 businesses right now. You're involved in First Media, right? You're involved in Chef Made, and you're involved in Tech Beach. Just to close, can you tell us very briefly well, you've explained Chef Made already, but can you also touch a little bit on, a minute each, touch on what Tech Beach is and also what First Media is?
Okay. So I guess I'll touch on First Media first because it directly ties back into what First was in the first place. Exactly. So First Media is what we registered First the application as, you know. So first the application was registered under First Media, and during that period of time trying to figure out what will happen with First the application, we signed on a lot of businesses for marketing on the First application. And in trying to figure out what would happen, a few of these businesses were like, Kyle, you guys did a great job at marketing digitally, and we don't really understand this space very well. Can you help us now with our digital marketing needs? And therein came our pivot. So First now operates as a digital marketing agency and refer to it actually as First Digital. And so we work with some of the large organizations in Trinidad on their digital marketing needs, helping them to figure out how to chart the course and where to spend their money. And we create content, we market the content, we give them an understanding of how this content has performed over a period of time.
Okay. Yeah. And Tech Beach? Tech
Beach came as well from some of the learnings from First. It's amazing the things that come out from your failures, you know. Remember when I spoke about the lack of enabling environment to not raise capital? Yeah. Another one was a lack of mentorship that was really directly applicable to us within our technology industry. Tech Beach's goal is to fill that gap, is to develop that enabling environment so that more companies can win, more companies can raise more capital. And when they raise that capital, they can get that access to those mentors that are within their industry more easily, right? So we work very actively on developing a community of investors, really good, talented people within the different spaces of marketing or big data or whatever industry that you may be in. And we bring them together at this annual event, and we working as well on creating multiple spaces of connections throughout the course of the year, such that this community increases the activity that happens between it. Yeah. And so the goal really of Tech Beach is to have that really strong, active environment of an ecosystem that sees startups growing, and they're having an opportunity to interact with amazing talent that would form part of their company or form part of their board. And then you would see more opportunities for investment coming in and really having that ecosystem operate and work together. And that was one of the big lacking things when we initially launched First. And I think that lack of environment would have been a contributor to our downfall.
Okay. Yeah, so that's interesting to me that you took the First team, you turned it into something else. You've also ventured into something that you had no experience in prior, which was I'm referring specifically to Chef Made. But you took the principles from First and applied it to that. And you've also created that platform for other entrepreneurs to connect to the right people and for them to be steered in the direction that they need to go in. It was a great interview, Kyle. I certainly learned a lot more about you and your mindset along the way. And I hope that the entrepreneurs that watch this also get a lot of value from it. So, bless up.
Respect.
Cool, boss.